And we are live. We are live. First 2022 World Cup reaction for the opening match, Qatar versus Ecuador. I predicted a draw for this game. To be exact, a high scoring 2-2 draw. We did have 2 goals, but it was scored by the South American nation of Ecuador. Big congratulations to La Tricolor for becoming the first team to pick up a victory against a host nation in the opening match of any World Cup. So they start the World Cup off the right way. I did not predict this Ecuadorian team to get out of this group. Let me say that right away. But there's been a few twists, a few turns, especially with Senegal. And now that Ecuador have picked up a win in their first game. Sky's the limit for La Tri. Sky's the limit. This talented bunch of guys just showed us what they're capable of doing under Gustavo Alfaro. I'm one of the few guys to actually predict this team to qualify. Most people didn't predict Ecuador to qualify. So don't jump on the Ecuador bandwagon now that they actually won the first game of the World Cup. I predicted this team to qualify because I know what they're capable of doing. The 30 youngest team at the World Cup, and they could have been one of the young, like up there because of a few older guys they took in their team. But what a display, man. What a display. You might have to ask the question, was Ecuador really, really good? Or Qatar just very, very bad? I have to say Ecuador were really, really good. And it just made Qatar look very, very mediocre on the day. So big round of applause to Ecuador, man. Big round of applause. So, guys, let's review this game. Let's review this game. Big up to everybody in the stream right about now. Let's talk, man. Let's talk. I'm actually very, very happy for Ecuador, man. 2-0 is the result as Qatar become the first host nation to lose their opening match of the World Cup. And it's looking like they're going to pull a South Africa 2010 by not actually getting out the group. Look, after Qatar won the Asian Cup a few years ago, I was really impressed with the team and I was beginning to say, wow, they really deserve this World Cup, right? Because they're going to go out there and they're going to do well. But we know of the controversies that surrounded them hosting the World Cup. And most fans, football fans, say they didn't deserve to host the World Cup. And they embarrassed themselves in this opening game, I have to say, because they have not looked good since that Asian Cup win. They've just gone on the decline. And the only way that they could have won this game is probably if they were playing downhill for the entire game and Ecuador had to run up a slope, because Ecuador completely dominated this affair. Enner Valencia in the 16th minute, after what could have been the fastest goal in an opening World Cup game, disallowed via offside with the help of technology. And at the end of the day, I think they got it right, but Ecuador started off very, very well. 16th minute penalty there after a through ball was actually put in for Enner Valencia. He went around the goalkeeper, and Al-Sheeb, who had a disastrous start to the game, actually took him down. Enner Valencia stepped up, nerves of steel, ice in his veins, slotted away to his right, 1-0 to La Tri. And they followed it up with a second goal in the 31st minute there. Enner Valencia again, Preciado with that cross in. And the freaking, the neck muscles of Enner Valencia, man, is on a whole nother level, because the way he put that ball in, he didn't even look. Brilliant, man. Brilliant. He's been on fire for Fenerbahce in the Turkish Super League as well. So it's not like he's doing it by fluke. And that was actually Ecuador's 5th consecutive goal at the World Cup, scored by one man, Enner Valencia. There were questions asked of whether he could have actually carried the goal-scoring burden, but he's answered. He's definitely answered. And once Qatar went 2-0 down that early in the game, they would have needed to come right back into the match immediately for them to actually put up a fight. They had a chance at the back end of the first half, and Almoez Ali, who has not been in great form since the Asian Cup as well, he squandered a brilliant opportunity which would have set up the second half magnificently. And Ecuador held on, man. Congratulations to Ecuador. Big win. Big win indeed, man. So, guys, we're going to take our time. We're going to break the game down. We're not going to be here for a very, very long time, but I want to actually cover all facets here. Welcome to Qatar 2022, the Winter World Cup, guys. You see, I'm wearing a hoodie right now. The power actually went out. I was supposed to go to work today. I didn't get to go, and I wanted to do a watch along, but the power went out, so I couldn't do a watch along, man. But I was here working on some World Cup stuff, watching the game at the same time, and I was fully entertained by the Ecuadorians because this team, man, brilliant team. The return to the World Cup after 8 years. Qatar's making their debut, and we remember the last World Cup opening game where Russia actually smacked up Saudi Arabia, and Ecuador, I have to say, smacked up, bullied, and pushed around Qatar this time around. So, look, if we check on the lineups, guys, for both teams, right? Let's take a quick look at the lineups. Were the lineups warranted? This Qatar lineup looks very familiar. We've seen these players play together for years upon years upon years. Since Qatar was actually gifted the World Cup, they have realistically been a club where these players have played with each other for a very long time, traveled, toured around the world, played many practice matches, and I've grown to know these names. A lot of people do not know these Qatari players' names, but I know them. I know, you look at the entire back line there. These guys are familiar guys, right? The midfield, these guys are familiar guys. Abdulaziz Hatem, Hassan Al-Haidos, these are familiar guys. These players are established players. You know, these players are actually protected as well. They haven't been playing a lot of club football where they could pick up injuries. So Qatar's preparation has been big. It has been, immense. And I don't think any team has prepared for the World Cup like Qatar have prepared. And they've done it for a reason so that they won't be embarrassed. But I think the embarrassment is actually looming big time because what we've seen from Qatar today, it could only get worse because when you look at Senegal and you look at the Netherlands, who I think on paper are actually better than Ecuador. So no disrespect to Ecuador, they're going to surprise. They've shown us today. They put themselves in a very good position. They're in a better position right now than Netherlands and Senegal because they are the only ones with 3 points, right, in the group. So they would have to be the one that's going to be challenged. But I think Felix Sanchez put out a very strong lineup here for Qatar, and the guys just went out there and they didn't, keep up with the pace of the game. But when you think about, when I say pace of the game, these Ecuadorians are accustomed to play at a very, very high tempo in South America. You watch one of these South American games, guys, you cannot go to the bathroom. You cannot go to the fridge for a beer. And talk about beer, no beer sold at the stadium, right? That's pretty hard. But talk about that. I just watched the Liverpool City game and I couldn't move. So the bear wouldn't really bother me because I'm not even going to get no beers. You see what I'm saying? Because the high energy and the adrenaline that was flowing through me at that time, though. So, look, we take a look at the Ecuadorian 11 here. And there's been a few questionable inclusions, right? And I have to start with the goalkeeper, Galendez, where he got the nod over Dominguez, the more capped Dominguez. And look, it was warranted. Galendez hardly had anything to do. We'll check the stats just now and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But all these other players, man, they were on point. I know the defenders didn't really have much to do in Hinsapie and Torres, but Preciado and Estupinian provided that driving force down the flanks, Liverpool-esque, right? Where you have Andy Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold providing all the chances, putting them in the box, and that was Estupinian and Preciado. I know the Liverpool fans would actually appreciate that analogy, right? Big up to all of you guys in here. But I'm telling you, Mendes and Caicedo, massive in the midfield. But you see they picked up yellow cards in this match. They would need to be very careful in their next game, and they would want to avoid missing the final group match, right? And we'll get into who the teams play next and so on and so forth. But since I mentioned that, right? Since I mentioned all of that, look, I should actually just tell you who they're playing next, right? But let me just refer to my notes real quick. I have everything in here, guys, everything. But it's not at the top of my head yet. But Netherlands play Ecuador next, and they play Senegal on the final match day. So massive game coming up. And if they manage to get a draw in that game, yeah, they're through. But look, up top, Michael Estrada and Enna Valencia. Michael Estrada, there's question marks over him, kind of suspect performance, but Enna Valencia was like prime Ronaldo Nazario on the day, man. And they're going to sweat his fitness because he did pick up a knock in the game, but they also have to look at the fitness of Preciado as well, who also picked up a knock in the game. But I have to say Gonzalo Plata, he looked really good in the game. And look, some of these players are gonna come of age at this World Cup. The January transfer window is coming up. We're gonna see teams going for some of these Ecuadorian players, man. Romario Ibarra had a good performance as well. Did get a chance saved by Al Sheeb. And overall, this Ecuadorian team were mammoth on the day. They really represented well for South America, and they set themselves up to actually book a place in the round of 16 against my prediction. But then again, you have to understand that I predicted Senegal to go through, right? When Mane was actually available. You see, so I made a solid prediction. I think I made a solid enough prediction, but Mane won't be at the World Cup. And that plays into the hands of this very talented Ecuadorian team, man. But look, man, guys, just to double back from the start of the game, the national anthems played and they echoed throughout the stadium, and I could just feel that World Cup fever. The Qatar national anthem, I really like it, by the way. I really, really do like it. It's just a pity that most of their fans had to leave the stadium before the end of the game because of the embarrassing performance that Qatar put out. But they could only look to build from here. They wouldn't look to work on their weaknesses, go back to the drawing board. But it's going to be very difficult coming up against Senegal in their next match, the Dutch on the last match day. Guys, I'm afraid to say that it is looking like it's over for Qatar. Pretty much looking like it's over. Because Ecuador were just on top throughout this game. That disallowed goal early, they bounced back. They didn't hold their heads down, and they just kept going at Qatar with that stronghold on the game. Qatar were on the back foot for, let's say, 90% of this match, and the other 10%, the few chances that they squandered. So, look, kudos to Ecuador for being very clinical. They took most of the better chances that they had. Qatar, a lot of mistakes made by the goalkeeper, a lot of errors, players miss passes. They were just off the boil on the day. While for Ecuador, man, they just strutted around. They look graceful. And I really hope this team continues to play like this, because it'll be a big letdown if they actually, let's say, fall away from here. Because I want to see them play at this level against the Dutch. I want to see them give the Netherlands a very, very good fight. You see what I mean? And that's going to be an interesting game. I want to see them give Senegal a good fight. And when and if they do get to the round of 16, I want for them to continue playing at these high levels. But I think from now, they have to manage players. That's going to be very important. They have to dig within their squad, and they have to manage these players like Moises Caicedo, Preciado, Enna Valencia, Mendes, all these guys on yellow cards and guys dealing with a bit of injury there. So, look, overall, I would have to say it was a pretty one-sided game. I think I spoke about most things from my notes here, but one thing that I have to mention that Ecuador have not conceded a goal in their last 7 matches. And let me show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. Let's go over to the Wikipedia, recent games, and you could see right there, dating all the way back to the 1-1 draw against Argentina. This team have shut every single other team out. This is amazing. This is amazing. So they didn't fluke it. This was not by chance. They didn't just run into this performance. They have been showing glimpses that they're capable of doing this. I should have known better because I reviewed their recent matches and everything, and I predicted them to concede twice. I give the Qatar team a lot more credit than they deserve, I have to say. I didn't predict them to lose the game. They lost 2-0, and kudos to Ecuador. So with that being said, guys, let's just actually go right back and take a look at the stats for the game, and we wind down. We land the plane here. So Qatar only managed 5 shots at goal, none on target. They had 47% of the ball. They did have a lot of the ball, but mostly in their third of the field. Ecuador, 6 shots, 3 on target. It wasn't a whole lot of shots, but they were clinical. They put half of their shots on target and 2 of those in the back of the net. They outpossessed Qatar. They outpassed Qatar as well. And they outplayed Qatar, most importantly. Give it up for Ecuador. Give it up for Ecuador, man. Give it up for them. Round of applause. Round of applause. So what are you guys saying in the chat right about now? Big up to everybody in the house. Make sure you smash the thumbs up button. It's nice to see Miss Melina in here, man. Miss Melina, glad to see you recovered from your bout of illness. And she says, Qatar are going to get buried by Netherlands. Really, really lovely to see you, Melina. And I've seen a couple other familiar faces in here. Big up to Lovepreet, who says, Dom, can India qualify for World Cup 2026? And the simple answer is no, but you never know. But no. Big up to my boy Betel Kabede, who's been with the channel for the last 5 years or so. Says Ecuador ridiculously organized on defense. It sort of worries me for Senegal without Mane. Yes, Senegal they should start worrying. Netherlands would have to watch themselves as well. They would ideally videotape this game. Well, you don't videotape anything. Everything is in streaming. But sit down and watch this game because you need to learn as much as you can about this Ecuadorian team before you play them, because I'm telling you, they're one of the teams to watch here. Even though I didn't predict them to qualify for the round of 16, I have to say that. But I made my predictions before Mane got injured, man. Come on, guys, give me a break. Please cut me a bit of slack. So big up to Mr. Yoshi says, dumb, but look at the teams they played against. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you play against. We see this all the time. You play against weaker opponents, you concede. You might be a bit lax, a bit, relaxed, and you concede goals. So you got to give them credit, man. Wins are wins. Clean sheets are clean sheets. Big up to Dan Mago, who says Ecuador will make it to the quarterfinals. Big call by Dan. Big up to B. Illich, who says Qatar didn't have too many chances today. Not at all, man. The best chance came to Almoez Ali, and he completely, effed it up, for lack of better words. So, look, Mr. Manchester, Qatar keeper was key to the match. He made life so easy for Ecuador. Yeah, if he was a bit more clinical, who knows, man? Maybe it could have ended in a 0-0 draw, something. So what else we have, man? Big up to Mr. IZ here. Nice to see you. Comics says Qatar is a beautiful country. Mustafa Albachan, big up to you, says Qatar were terrible. Who else we got up in here, man? Let me see. Talk to me, guys. We got MW Choli in the house. Nice to see you, man. He says Ecuador should have won by at least 4-0, 5-0, or 6-0. Would be to prefer. It's likely they can get a draw, one of the last teams, and lose the other. Then most likely will come to goal difference. You got a great point, but I think the win is a good win. You know what I'm saying? It's a good win. They picked up 2 goals. They got a clean sheet, and you can't ask for better than that, man. So Mr. Manchester is asking a good question. Dominic, the VAR on the first goal was a wrong call. No, it was not a wrong call. Technology was used. Maybe a lot of people don't understand why it was given, but it's because, it's complicated. The keeper came off the line, and it was just close margins, but it was semi-automated. So you can't argue too much against a computer. Big up to the Lego dude that says Ecuador were dominant. We got Samuel Steyer says Ecuador looked really good today. Smith Yoon, Qatar played horribly. Indeed, indeed. Cesar, it was funny to see Qatar trainer reactions during the match. Yeah, Felix Bas Sanchez just was like this. He was just saying, you know. So on point with that one. Dark Horse, Ecuador managed the game perfectly. And I did talk about them, managing the rest of the group stage, but they did manage the game very, very well. And let's just go quickly back to the match here, and you could see the substitutes that they brought on, right? And I did make, a few notes about the substitutions, especially when Cifuentes was brought on for Valencia in the 76th minute. That was actually very, very good game management there by Gustavo Alfaro. So, look, let's just scroll down to the teams. You could see the substitutes for Ecuador: Jose Cifuentes, LAFC player; Jeremy Sarmiento, the Brighton and Hove Albion player; and Alan Franco came on as well, along with Kevin Rodriguez. So they could have actually brought on another player. You see Jokef Riasco, named after a former French player there as well. Crazy, crazy. And it could have actually given another player a run out, but they went with just using 4 as substitutes. So great game management there. As for Qatar, they tried to inject some offensive quality into the setup by bringing on Mohamed Muntari there, who did have a late chance, nothing doing, and they brought on Mohamed Wad as well. So they didn't use their substitutes well, in my opinion. Maybe they could have made some early substitutions when they saw that things weren't looking so good, but they decided against that. So look, guys, if you guys have any questions, we're going to go live for about 30 minutes. Don't want to be super, super long here, but if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them. We could discuss the next matches in the group as well. But I do have previews for those coming out. Go check out all the previews on the channel, guys. I've been working tirelessly at getting these out. I have the Argentina, Saudi Arabia preview to drop a little bit later. I've already prepared myself to do the big preview for the Denmark-Tunisia game and the other match there between Mexico and Poland. And I also have to work on the France-Australia match, which is going to be very interesting with all the, the unlucky things that have been happening with the French teams as of late. Could they actually go against all odds? All these weird injuries at the wrong time. Could they actually prevail and get past that champion's curse? But look, in this group, right, let's just take a look here. In the group, Ecuador on top, 3 points. The Netherlands take on Senegal tomorrow, and Qatar at the bottom, becoming the first host to lose their opening match of the World Cup. Look, even though South Africa, did not get through to the round of 16, I think they put out a very respectable performance in the group stage, and they were very unlucky not to advance. So look, talk to me, guys. Talk to me. We have Big John, Big Train Sale says Wales, USA versus Wales coming up again. That's going to be a great one. Looking forward to that game. Hopefully I'll do a watch along or 2 tomorrow. Scheduled a few. I don't know how many I could actually do because I need to carry on with everyday life as well. But Samuel Staya is actually asking a great question here. And he asked, how far do you have Belgium going in this World Cup? I have them finishing 3rd in their group behind Croatia and Morocco. A lot of people actually underestimating this Belgian team, and I think you guys are making a big mistake. I have them going all the way to the final, actually. All the way to the final on the easier side of the bracket. I've seen a few people predicted Belgium not to even get out their group or even come in last, and these are people, respectable people. My friends, I'm like, you guys are bugging out. You guys are bugging. So, look, you see, great question. I asked this question too. Were Qatar bad or Ecuador just too good? I think Ecuador surprised Qatar. They really surprised Qatar. I don't think Qatar was bad as it actually seemed in the end. I just think Ecuador were just very, very, very good. They surprised me too. They surprised me. But if you really go back and you analyze the stats and how they've played in CONMEBOL and the Rise and, how they've been under Gustavo Alfaro, you'll be like, oh, okay. Now I understand what's going on here. You know what I mean? Now I do understand what's going on. But look, guys, I don't want to be here for super long. I want to give this some replay value. So big up to everybody who tuned in and all of you guys who are actually watching at the moment. Don't forget to smash the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. The World Cup is back, baby. And you know your boy Dom is the World Cup king, where I'm attempting to put out a preview for every single match of this 2022 World Cup. And of course, do a review as well sometime during the course of the days. So look for the World Cup content. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Let's discuss this. I'm hyped up. I'm going to have to call my doctor because I got World Cup fever right about now. And I know you guys do too because it's very, very contagious. You see? I'm afraid to say that there's a contagion spreading all across the world. And it's caused by the FIFA World Cup. So guys, I'm your boy Dominic Rich. Once again, subscribe if you're new. Like the video if you haven't yet done. So congratulations to Ecuador. I think we touched on most of the talking points today. Maybe we'll come back for a live later to discuss some of the games coming up tomorrow, if I do have the time. Big up to all the Ecuadorian fans. Congratulations. And until next time, peace out. Rich Squad. Peace.